Welcome back, everyone. Today I have the beginning of my budget builds series. This is where I take a character and I build a deck for mainly beginners on the cheap, with no card greater than a rare rarity. So no ultras, no secrets, and I'm also sticking away from Challenger Series cards and cards that you would find in Clash decks, so that you won't have to buy extra stuff. This will be all things that you can find either in the core booster series, with the exception of character cards, because those can be found online, as you can see with our first entry, Denki Kaminari 2. I also chose him because he comes as an alternate art in Jetburn. So you can get that for $3, but you can get the DLC from Crimson Rampage for like 25 cents online. So characters can be anything, because character cards, especially for DLC where you get 2 to a piece, are very easy to get a hold of. Usually if you buy one of the DLC products, you get an extra character card anyway. So characters are absent from this rule, but otherwise for the rest of the deck, it's only going to be commons, uncommons, and rares that you can find in main booster sets. And I looked everything up on Rochester CCG. That's my go-to for singles. Shout out to Sean and the Rochester crew. Unfortunately, my wife's laptop is having issues accessing Rochester, so it's just not loading the page, so I looked everything up on my phone. But the total for this deck comes out to $21.80, which is pretty cheap for an easy 63-card deck. So let's get into it. Denki Kaminari 2 has a 6 hand size, 25 health. He's got a static effect that says you cannot spend momentum to pay the cost of keyword abilities. Now this is important. You cannot use powerful, EX, echo, anything like that. However, you can still spend your momentum to pay for other card effects, as we'll see later. He has an enhance once per turn. Add the top card of your deck to your momentum. Free momentum every turn, your turn, and your rival's turn. That's a hell of a charge up. And then your turn, enhance, discard your entire momentum. If this attack has the charge keyword, your rival commits 1 foundation for each momentum discarded to pay the cost of this ability. So if you play a charge attack, you can spend your entire momentum and tap down foundations equal to the number of momentum you spent. You spend 5 momentum, your rival commits 5 foundations. Pretty simple. However, I'm opting to use the momentum more efficiently, I like to think. Let's go on to our attack lineup. We have Black Abyss Sabbath. Now I have a video coming up later about the Black Abyss kit and a character I think it boosts very well. But for right now, we're only focused on Sabbath. This is a rare from Girl Power. It is a 5 high 5 difficulty, 3 control. You can enhance, spend 1 momentum. Your next check to play a card gets +2. Your rival's next check to play a card gets -2. So a boost to your own check and a hack to your rival's block. That's pretty solid. And it's a 5 high 5, decent stats. And you can fill this spend 1 momentum cost with Denki himself. So Denki, add a card from the top of your deck to your momentum, then spend it for Black Sabbath. Pretty simple. This not only would allow maybe Sabbath to get through, but if they don't try to block Sabbath, your next attack can have a check hack against their check to block, and you get +2 to your check to play an attack. Next up, we have Dire Assault. This is a Midnight common from Girl Power. It's a 4 low for 5. It's a flash, so there's no enhance step when this card is played. And it says response, spend 1 momentum. After this attack is blocked, your rival discards a card. So that's what you'll see a lot in our attack lineup, is spending momentum as a cost when we can store this momentum with Denki really, really quickly. So if they don't want to take this 5 damage here, or maybe you've boosted it with some of your other responsibilities, they have to lose a card out of their hand if you spend the momentum. Next up, we have Mass Decay, another rare from Girl Power. Another 4 low 5. This says enhance, spend 1 momentum. your rival destroys one foundation and flips a ready foundation. So not only are you getting rid of possibly a committed resource, because likely they won't destroy a ready foundation, but then they have to flip a ready foundation, so there's one less resource they have access to during your turn and subsequently their own. As sort of a bomb, we have Armor of the Ape. This is a 4 mid-5. It goes to your momentum face up as a static. In your momentum, as an enhance, you can give your rival's attacks -1 damage every attack. That's pretty solid. And then as an enhance, it gets 1 speed and 1 damage for each of your momentum. So if you've stockpiled a bunch of momentum and you haven't spent a lot of it, Armor of the Ape can become a nigh unblockable bomb. So imagine you've stocked up, 6 or 7 momentum with Denki. You play Black Abyss Sabbath, spend a momentum, cool. Your next check is +2, your rivals gets -2. If they let this 5 go through, you play Armor of the Ape, and let's say you have 6 momentum left, this becomes a 10 mid-11, and if they didn't try to block Sabbath, they have -2 to their check to block this. So it can get really big really quickly, which is really strong. Next up we have Rapid Speed Slash. This is a 4 low 4 with Breaker 1, with a nice +1 mid-block, which is really nice. It has Enhance, draw 1 card, or add the top card of your deck to your momentum, only playable if you have at least 1 momentum. So if we're already doing our Denki things, this is going to always guarantee us to draw 1 card or add the top card of our deck to our momentum, whichever resource we feel we need at the time. Next we have Claw Stopper, a 4 mid-4. It's also got Breaker 1, but a +2 mid-block this time. It also goes to our momentum face up, should it go to our momentum. And in our momentum, once per turn, we get to draw 1 card, then discard 1 card. So a cycle, pretty nice. And as an enhance, if it's played as an attack, if we have at least 1 momentum, draw 1 card. Denki is always going to have 1 momentum as long as you haven't spent it all. So you're always going to just be able to draw 1 card, replacing Claw Stopper in your hand. And as our last attack, we have Nejire Wave, a 4 mid-4. As a response, we can spend 1 momentum. After we play this attack, our rival commits 3 foundations, which is incredibly powerful, especially if we're playing this late in a string. And then as an enhance, this attack gets +2 damage for each attack our rival has blocked this turn. So if we're drawing cards with Claw Stopper and Rapid Speed Strike and we're stringing out, and our rival's not wanting to take some of these possibly boosted attacks, Nejire Wave comes in, spends a momentum, taps down their last 3 foundations, and gets +4, +6 damage for every, since they've blocked 2 or 3 attacks, making this a very good late turn bomb in a string deck, as opposed to an Armor of the Ape, which is a very good early bomb to try to put a lot of pressure on our rival before we've spent a bunch of our momentum. So really fun and interesting way to kind of gain the momentum and then spend it as you gain it. And then you have your Armor of the Apes to try to hold, if you have to hold some momentum, to just throw big hurtin' bombs. Speaking of gathering momentum, we have Gold Tips Imperial as our asset. After we block with it, we get to build it committed. And after our end phase, if we did not deal damage, but at least played 1 attack, we get to add the top card of our deck to our momentum. So we get a momentum with Denki, and if our rival blocks us out for the turn, we get another momentum for free anyway. So then on our rival's turn, Denki gets another momentum. So we go into our turn with at least 3 momentum, unless we spend it on something. So let's see what else we can spend our momentum on. For actions, I chose the Dark Tournament Looms. This is a time-shifted reprint in Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament. It says, Enhance Remove, add 1 card from your momentum to your hand, draw 1 card. So this 1 card turns into 2. And since we're allowed to look at our momentum nowadays, which in the olden days we were not allowed to, we get to pick whatever card we've stocked into our momentum with Denki. As our blind add to momentum, we can just pick that up and draw an extra card for our trouble. It's a win-win. On to our foundations, we have Assessing All for One's Motive. This is just a good way to pseudo-protect your momentum. After our rival forces a card to leave our momentum, we get to add the top card of our deck to our momentum by flipping it. It's not quite a protection, but more of a insurance policy, so we will keep the momentum that we lose. Speaking of keeping momentum, we have Teacher's Guidance. Enhance, flip. If we have taken damage this turn, we add the top card of our deck to our momentum. Again, stockpiling all that momentum that we want. So say we go into our rival's turn empty, we get 1 with Denki, If we partial block something and have 2 of these, we get 2 more. That's going into our turn with 3. First attack we play, we're going to gain another one. That gives Armor of the Ape 4/4. That's an 8 mid 9. That's pretty solid. We have Fearsome Transformations. In Denki, this is just going to be flip draw a card. We're never going to play this without having momentum. We're almost never going to have no momentum, so this is honestly just flip draw a card, which is really cool. Defensively, we have Childlike Appearance. We can destroy this and spend a momentum, reduce this attack speed to 0, and if it's blocked, selectively commit a rival foundation. That's really great. Then we also have Protecting Yukina. This allows us to block with a very nice +1 mid-block, and when we block with it, we can spend a momentum, and after we block, we take no damage from that attack. So if it's a throw, no damage. If it's a partial block, no damage. If they have an ability that says this attack still does 1 damage, we take no damage. And then as an enhance, we get to destroy this from our stage, add the top card of our deck to our momentum. Again, stockpiling all of that up. I know we can tap down a lot of cards if we are playing a charge. I don't think any of these have the charge keyword. No. So we're not worried about that. We're mainly worried about all of our spending 1 momentum abilities. For a bit of damage boost, we have Nedgeray Chain of the Big 3. We can destroy Foundation. This attack gets +1 damage. If it's blocked, gain a health. As a 625, we are just below average, or maybe the very bare minimum of average. So a little bit of health boost can go a long way. I maybe forgot to mention this is on the Chaos symbol. Sorry, this is my first budget build, and I'm kind of excited about where this is going to be going, so forgive me. Next up, we have Vast Hybrid. As a form, we can say that as long as we have at least 1 momentum, our attacks get +1 damage for the rest of the turn, turning all of our 5 damage moves into 6 damage moves, which is pretty fun. And then all of our 4s become 5s. We can add it to our momentum as an enhance from our stage, and then in our momentum, once per turn, we can give our next check +1. So it gives us damage, gives us more momentum, and in our momentum, it gives us bonuses to our checks offensively and defensively. Incredible, incredible card to be playing in this Denki deck. Next, we have Carpool to Work. This has 2 responses, the first of which removes itself after it is spent from our momentum. We get to add the top card of our deck to our momentum. So if we have this in our momentum and we spend it with Black Abyss Sabbath, Mass Decay, Dire Assault, any of these, we get to get the top card of our deck to our momentum for free, replacing itself. And as a response, we can spend 1 momentum. After we block with this card, add it to our momentum. So it's a block that clears itself, because we're almost going to always have momentum, and then it's momentum that replaces itself, which in a deck like this can be really, really incredible. Expanding Capacity is our next foundation. We can spend 2 momentum as an enhance. Our attack gets +3 speed and +3 damage. So basically turning 2 momentum into better stats on Armor of the Ape. So instead of getting the 2/2 that Armor of the Ape would, we can give any attack 3/3. So really good for something like Black Abyss Sabbath, make that an 8 high 8. Our rival's going to want to try to deal with that, and then they'll lose, get -2 on their check to block it. Also, it says we can commit it as a response. If our rival gains health due to their non-character effect, they commit a foundation. There is some health gain going around, so it is kind of fun to punish that if you don't want to use the spending momentum, because this is not a commit cost on this enhance. You just spend the momentum. So as long as you have 2, 4, 6 momentum, that's 3/3 on any number of attacks, as long as you can spend the momentum required. Next up for damage, we have Basic Training. As a response once per turn, after we play an attack, it gets +1 damage. Good thing to put on something like Dire Assault. If we can boost this to 6, 7 damage, make our rival really want to block it. And then if our rival's in Deadlock, as a response, after an attack is played, it gets +1 speed, playable while committed, or tenacious, as it's said today. So in Deadlock, it's free speed on every attack, and out of Deadlock even, it's +1 damage on 1 attack per turn. So just kind of pushing a little bit more damage where you need it. Speaking of speed, we have Easily Excited. Response once per turn. After an attack is played, it gets +1 speed and gains Taunt. We don't care about taunt, but we do like +1 speed. We have Cool and Tough next. This is another good piece of momentum protection. As a response, we can remove this card. After a card leaves our momentum due to our rival's effect, we get to add that card back to our hand, and that is a tenacious ability. So that's really, really impressive. So if they have something that, like the new Instant Shining Flash reprint, which allows you to play your old Instant Shining Flashes, they spend one of our momentum, we get to add that right back to our hand. So that's really cool. And as a Deadlock Enhance, we get to ready one rival foundation to ready 2 of our foundations. And that's not a commit cost, that is just free readying. That is free fresh cut grass without having to compliment our opponents because we are too cool and tough for that. And they're in Deadlock, so why are we complimenting them for going into Deadlock? Next we have Shadow's Aid. This is a really cool foundation. During our attack, we can commit it to add a card from our momentum to our hand, and then our rival may ready 1 foundation. So it gives our rival a ready resource. However, it gives us maybe another attack that we've stored away in our momentum. Next we have Struggling with Studies. We can add a card we've blocked with to our hand if it's our rival's 3rd or greater attack this combat phase, or we can flip this in our stage to protect one of our other cards from being flipped due to a rival effect. Next we have Strategic Meeting. As a form, we can flip this and reveal the top card of our deck. We may add it to our momentum. If it has 3 or more keywords, though, we can add it to our hand instead. I think the only thing that has 3 or more keywords is Rapid Speed Slash and Claw Stopper. So if we reveal one of these 5 cards, we can add it to our hand. Otherwise, this just says, hey, flip, add the top card of your deck to your momentum. More momentum storage. Then we have Hungry for Fame. This is just like Shadow's Aid. We commit and flip this card to add a card from our momentum to our hand, but our rival does not get to ready a foundation for that. So it is one-time use, but we don't give our rival a ready resource back. Next we have Sadistic Jeer. We can flip this to force our rival to make a check against a 5. If they fail, we get the top card of our deck to our momentum. So that's, if they check that 3, they're really going to want to consider tapping those 2 foundations, so it's a good thing to use on your rival's turn. Or we can destroy this, and if our rival has 8 or more foundations, this attack gets +2 speed and +2 damage. So again, a little bit more speed and damage on top of those stats we're already trying to improve. And lastly, we have Broken Psyche. This is a really good defensive piece. We flip it and spend a momentum, change this attack's damage to 2. So, really, really strong, making that 25 health last. So that is the basics of this budget build Denki Kaminari 2 list off of Chaos. I did, before I decided to not have Challenger Series decks in here, I did have Knott's Flask, which is an asset that can get, when you play it, 3 booze counters. You can commit it and remove a booze counter to give +3 or -3 damage to an attack. So, before I decided, I don't want to put a card in here that's only located in $35 decks. I mean, you can buy them online for $4 or so, but I made the hard line that, yes, it's good for the damage, and if you want to add it, it's definitely a good add, but I'm not going to put it in the list here. And I did cut the Broken Psyche down to 2, simply because Rochester only had 1 available on their list, which brings my total, see if it'll take here, to $21.80. That is how much this deck, as you see it, would cost you if you bought it on rochesterccg.com. Let's empty that so it's not sitting there. So, yeah, this is my first of my budget build series. I want to take this not only for, like, niche characters like Denki, but also maybe some more in-the-know characters. I wouldn't want to say meta, because that's constantly shifting. But if you guys have an idea of maybe a character you're trying to get into, I know, especially if you're getting into a new game, this deck building can be really complicated, and you don't want it to be too expensive. So I try to make these budget builds for, like, my new locals, stuff like that. So that's kind of what this series is going to be. It's more for the newer player, Or maybe you want to try a new character, but you don't want to sink a lot of money into them. You just want to kind of get the flow of them and what they want to do. So if you guys have any ideas for who my next budget character should be, please drop a comment in the comments below. I'll also be making a post on Discord to try to get more suggestions for other characters to try to budget with. Remember that the character can be anything, except I wouldn't want to do characters from the Clash decks or the if it's a starter deck character or a Challenger Series character, because I feel the decks that are built around those characters are fine for them. I chose DLC to be fine because DLC you only get one attack and one foundation per character. You can't build a deck like that. So, yeah. So DLC characters are fine, promo characters are fine, because most of the promo characters you can get on the loyalty store anyway. So that's kind of what I'm going for here. Building decks only out of the cards you get out of the booster boxes, so packs that you can buy cheaply online. So rares, commons, uncommons. I'm trying not to throw promos in there just because sometimes they get sold out or out of stock, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm interested to see where I can take this series, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video. If you're not subscribed yet, I implore you, please subscribe. I am ever closing in on 100 subscribers, which I never thought I'd get to. And if you have any suggestions for characters I should tackle in this budget series, please drop them in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.